So if you wanna go over there, Rumble, / The Coach Mel Show, and you'll be able to follow along because 'cause we've got a presentation that you need to see that we can't really show on Twitter Spaces. And we thought, "How are we gonna do this?" So we'll just use my show to do it. All right, we've only got 4 people in here. Would you guys please go out and invite some friends and folks, to come listen in because this is a big deal. Invite any of your friends that are kind of concerned about, invite any folks that are a little bit concerned maybe about America being a corporation, that DC being foreign soil, being owned by the crown, um, any of that. If you've got some folks that would like to be in this discussion, bring them on over here. That's what we're gonna talk about today. I can hear you in my back on the show. I cannot hear you on the obviously, your mic is off over there, so yes, I can hear you. Yeah. So I've got 17th in my ear on the show as well as, for those of you who are wondering. Yeah, can hear you fine. Yep, sure can. Yep, gotcha. Gotcha there too. So we're not gonna take, I thank you for the request. Guys, we're going to do our presentation first. Or I can, I'll open the mic for you just for 1 sec, just to say good morning, but then I'm gonna drop everybody to listener. Um, Good morning, X how do you say your name? Uh, Daisy? Okay, Daisy. Good morning, Daisy. It's nice to have you this morning. We're just gonna do our presentation, and then we'll open it up a little bit later for everybody, okay? All right, I see the heart. Wonderful. So please, if you guys would go retweet the space, and then we'll start. I wanna start at the beginning, and make sure there's several people in here who wanna hear this and need to know about this. I do just wanna set the atmosphere for the space today, and that is we are all on the same page as far as we are patriots, we love our country. We are, prayerful for wow, over all that is going on in our nation right now, and, there's a lot of darkness, um, clearly, that we're all experiencing and seeing and realizing that's going on. I think we're all down the rabbit hole and, want to know exactly what's coming at us, what's truth, what's not, um, and we want to believe in our beautiful America. So hopefully that is something that's gonna happen today as we find a little bit more space to get back to breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief, and I hope that is the case for everyone here today. So I would just ask everyone to refrain from posting anything in the nest up above or the jumbotron. That'll just be for 17th and I. If we want to present anything, if you want to say stuff, please feel free to do so down in the purple pill. We would just ask also that if you are, if we have any folks in here that you know want to push back, that's totally fine. But at the same time, please just listen to what we have to show you first. And I just ask everyone to open their hearts because we are all on the same page. All right. Hey, good morning, James, my buddy. Good to see you. Let's see what do we have in here. God's heart. Good morning. I love your name, by the way. Kayus, good morning, friend. So Kayus told me that Twitter unfriended us from each other this morning. I thought that was weird. Not okay. Yeah, open your mic and talk to me on the spaces. Did you say it's been? Yeah, it has been. It's weird. All right. So let's get started. I just want to set the room and say good morning. We're all friends. I love you all. We love you all. We are on the same team. We are all hoping for the same beautiful outcome of the save of this country. And any discoveries that we bring to you today, we do so in good faith in knowing and understanding that we don't know everything. None of us do. And the hope is that we all learn more together. And my new little, phrase well, I have 2. I've got one long term from Dropbox season last fall was "Save your county, save the country," and of course, then General Flynn came out with "Local action equals national impact," which is like, okay, his is way better than mine, but also "Save your county, save the country." But my new one is, "It's not about who's right, it's about what's right? We all want truth, and that's why we're all here is we want truth. So, if there's any truth that I can learn, we want to learn it. And if there's any truth with definitely with us, we hope that you are open to that, and that's kinda how I'm gonna set the stage for today. Yeah? What do you think, 17th? Yeah.
Corporation. One thing I would like to say is that this is very unique in that these different communities are kind of merging together, not perfectly, and and maybe there's a little bit of not heartache, but growing pains. But I've never had a chance to talk to these types of communities before, and so I think it's interesting that we're somehow may not be coming together yet, but I think it will happen in the near future.
I agree, and I think with us all being truth seekers and really wanting the absolute truth that we'll get there together. And if there's anything y'all can teach us, that's different from what we're gonna present to you today, we're always open and willing to listen to truth, right? But we want, receipts. I think that's we all need to be able to show how this all came together and how it all works together, um, so to get started, I think we've got enough folks in here now. I think we can go ahead and get started. So, kind of first, Andy, would you please tell everybody? And I know we've done this once on the show before, but would you kind of just for the room give everybody your credentials and tell everybody who
Yes,
you
so I am retired Navy explosive ordnance disposal warfare specialist. I guess that's what the technical term is. But I'm a bomb technician at trade, so we dealt with IEDs, conventional ordnance, nuclear, um, biological and chemical weapons. So I retired in 2010, and now I have worked for the State Department and doing contracting with various various groups of contracting companies in the U.S. and abroad. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, good. So yeah, so now I advise. I run bomb disposal programs. I mentor, advise, write policy, um, procedure, things of that nature. But that's it in a nutshell. It's kind of hard talking to you about yourself, honestly.
check that for a second? If I turn that back on, if it makes a difference, I don't think it.
Yeah. So the Organic Act of 1871 was a an act that well, didn't unite, but it put under multiple local governments under one local government for the Federal District of Columbia, which is our nation's capital. So there's the idea is that that could have possibly put the United States under a corporate status, and what we're trying to say is that it didn't, and that it really just started a local government, which is a municipal corporation. I think that word has been maybe perhaps misunderstood or you know, because you look it up in the code system for the U.S. law. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of definitions of these uh, words, but it just depends on what statutes you're looking at, because it changes per statute. If that makes sense. So we're just trying to show that really the municipal corporation was just a small local government, and that our nation is not owned by a foreign entity. Do we have all these issues? Yes, like the banking system. The corporations within the U.S. themselves, the corporations that the United States owns or doesn't own, but runs jointly with the private sector. Those are all, massive issues that we need, that needs reform or some kind of, complete overhaul. To be honest, in some areas, and I have found that it's been a distraction of things when we're trying to talk about, you know, what these solutions could be when there's a lot of people that think that we're incorporated, because that changes stuff, man. Like how you address problems within our country changes when you are thinking that the U.S. is a corporation. So, um, but that's it in a nutshell that we're going to talk about today, if that makes sense. Now, I can go over more stuff here, and I think I should. Um, so
Yeah, go ahead. Quick note, let me just tell everybody, I put up in the nest up above, and if nobody, please nobody put anything up there, that's just gonna be for Amy and I, but if you wanna put anything in the purple pill, you can. But I just put up in the nest the connection to Rumble, my show, which is live right now, where we'll be able to do visuals, and we're gonna show you visually, because we can't do that on Spaces, so feel free to click into that if you wanna watch. Now, you won't be able to hear me there, because I've got us on the feedback loop. So you still want to listen on here, but you can watch also on live. Yep. Go ahead.
okay, so first we have to start with the Residence Act. Okay, the Residence Act is what gave George Washington basically permission to go pick a 10-mile squared piece of land for our nation's capital that was, next to the Potomac River, I believe. Yeah. So he did that. He selected a site that was, I think it was in between what, three states? Three, I think, three or four, one of those. Say again.
Virginia and Georgetown.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
goes Virginia.
Right, right. Okay. So that's where it started, and then there was the County of Washington. Okay, and then there's Georgetown, which is a city or a township, or I think it was a city. Sorry. And so you had those two governments within our nation's capital that was kind of um, hard to hard to manage, right, for the Congress, because Congress manages the nation's capital. Well, it doesn't anymore, but it used to. I'm sorry, it still does in a way, but not as much as it used to. So, so the Act of 1871 put those governments under the same jurisdiction, and so it enabled them to be able to be a lot more organized. But it had nothing to do with changing our constitution. In fact, the whole process was constitutional. So that's pretty much the argument that I'm making. Really, that we're making is that didn't change the status of who owns us. Right, we're still sovereign, and that matters big time. So we need to be able to focus on issues that a lot of these other communities are pointing out, because they are issues. So,
Yeah, and just to add to that, Sandeep, is that So we've been showing, actually before we stumbled onto all of this, he and I have been doing shows here. We've done 7 now training shows on showing people and teaching you how to understand your government locally. Are you home rule? Are you general law? Do you have a charter? Like, how does your uh, county work? If you're unincorporated, if you're incorporated, that's one of the buzzwords, like the unincorporated, incorporated, and that's what we're going to address today. What all that means to us as Americans in our own county, because every one of us is either in an incorporated area or an unincorporated area.
Right.
And most of you are in a incorporated area, and that's where we start going, oh shoot, are we incorporated? Like, is America, are we some kind of business entity? Where did this start? And then it all goes back to this 1871 Act. We're going to explain the difference between an act and a treaty. We're also going to talk about the Treaty of Washington, which is a different thing. So when you understand, you can actually go back and watch your shows, and I can, once he's talking, I can kind of go back and reference which show that's in. But in 1871, what he's referring to, what happened was when they found this 10-mile area to create DC, Georgetown was already an established community, and Alexandria, I said.
That's right, Alexandria too. Right. Georgetown. Yeah.
These were already one was part of Virginia, one was part of Maryland. They were already established communities, and they already had set up in them that whether they were municipality, whether they were general law, whether they were home rule, I think all that was already established there. Like, they had infrastructure, and the idea of having a structure like that is basically the community comes together and says, we need infrastructure inside of our community, and so we constitutionally agree with the state. We go to the state and we say, hey, we need infrastructure, and then the people decide how they want that structure set up for the community. Your home rule, which is, we'll get to 1971 or 1972 about the whole home rule thing with DC in a little while. That's a progression. But right now, what they decided was, okay, if we're going to pull this land onto this 10-acre area, they're no longer part of Maryland. They're no longer part of Virginia. They're not just in this area that's just basically a territory. They called it a territory. This is just now territory. It's no longer attached to their state. So they no longer have infrastructure with their state. So these communities, so what happened, we have this war, and a ton of people move into this area, and it starts becoming really overpopulated, and they have no infrastructure now because they don't have what they used to have. Oh, and also Alexandria, Virginia went back to Virginia. I think that was partially, and I read this, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but because they really wanted to hold on to slavery, and so they're like, no, you go back. But they still kept this, they created this area for the territory. Well, then these people needed infrastructure. So the way it works in a territory, for all territories, whether you're Guam, Puerto Rico, all of our different territories, the way they work it, to come up underneath the Constitution, for Guam to come up underneath our American Constitution, become one of our territories, they have to act that's called the Organic Act. Each one of these areas has an Organic Act. So in 1871, when an Organic Act, instead of the communities being beholden to the state, or I've got to go through the state to get infrastructure, get water, police, fire, government infrastructure for our area. That's what we do. That's not to a state. It goes to Congress. Congress is the one that is the overseeing kind of the state body, but it's the Congress over all of our territories in Guam and everybody. Current day, they have all signed Organic Acts with America to bring them up under the Constitution, to give them infrastructure, to be part of America. It has nothing to do with foreign soil. It has nothing to do with making a contract with other countries. As a matter of fact, 1871 is an act, not a treaty. And we need to know the difference between a treaty and an act. A treaty is something that is signed with or on behalf of or something going on between us and a foreign, another acts or not. They're all stuff that's ours underneath our Constitution. And so as long as we get those terms correct, this will help us a lot. Now, there is a Treaty of Washington. That is the Washington state on the other side of the United States. It has to do with borders that were being created. It was at the Civil War time. There was kind of a whose land is whose. The border between Britain owned Canada up there, and the border between Britain and America wasn't completely established over there, over the San Juan Islands and stuff. And Britain had people there on our, what is now our San Juan Islands, and we had a force there. And so at the end of the war, it was agreed that that was our land, and that, and then we established the borders between us and Canada. And London ended up paying us $15.5 million at the time. I don't know what that equates to today, but they paid us in that treaty $15.5 million. All of the borders were established, and it was done. So that one is completely separate from anything to do with DC. It's a completely different deal. And that was a treaty because it was dealing with another country. The Act of 1871 is something that is internal for America, nothing to do with another country. So I just want to kind of establish how acts work and how treaties work. Just start the road.
Right, right. And obviously the federal districts and our nation's capital, that changes things as well. So, and it changes as it relates to how the local government is assigned and established. Right? There's differences with our nation's capital, and then with our federal districts such as Guam or Puerto Rico, etc.
I'm going to do a little bit of a presentation here. And for you who are new to the room, the presentation, if you go up into the nest up above the Jumbotron, click on that. Well, now you won't be able to hear me live on there. I've got that muted. Faces and info. However, I'm about to do a presentation, and I'm going to talk through it here on Spaces, but the visual will be on the show. So feel free to click into that if you want to, and follow along. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. Let me find it where I put it. Nothing up there.
Yeah, no.
I created a scene for it, now I can't find it. Go ahead, Andy.
And this is going to be about all the different companies that we found that had the name the United States something or others. So many of them. I was shocked, actually, and with what they did. So I'm excited for you to tell you about that.
Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. So if you are on Rumble, you'll be able to follow along. I'm going to talk through it. So right here, first of all, I didn't pull up the document, Andy, where a lot of people go to and go, oh my goodness, this says that we are a corporation. And it goes to this right here. It says United States. This is one of them. There's several. But some people are pointing to this thing called the United States Corporation Company. If you look right here on what I'm showing on this document, it's the sunbiz.org Division of Corporations. And it's an official state of Florida website. So it's like, okay, what is this United States Corporation Company? That sounds completely like, oof, what's going on? So as we go through this, and it has an EIN number there. Okay, why does Florida Profit Corporation, do you see that? That's really weird. So I'm just going to scroll here, and I think let's help it scroll a little bit.
I'm trying to get on a show so I can see.
Parked on it. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay, now it's going. So you see that highlighted the United. This is something I pre-made. Okay, so then you got the EIN number there. And then you have this principal address of 251 Little Falls Drive, Wilmington, Delaware. Why? Why is there an address for this corporate that's Florida in Delaware? That seems weird. So we saw this and we're like, something's weird. Why is this? And this was done. It changed in 2018. Okay, let's look at that. Registered agent address. You've got all these different director, secretary, all these different people. We keep scrolling down. There's the address again. And then there's all these documented images that we're going to look at. I'm not going to look at all those. I'm going to give you an example. But there's all these annual reports. It's like, okay, what is this? Like this United States Corporation Company for Florida. That's really weird. So scroll all the way to the bottom. and look at all this. And then at the very bottom, there's one that says domestic profit. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a second. This is where we started going, wow, is there something to this whole corporation? Florida is like a corporation. Like,
right.
That's weird, right?
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead and jump in anytime, and if you want to add anything.
Yeah, no, that I was just saying that this was a really uh, learning curve type of dig for sure. So and you had the lead on it because you were catching on to it more faster than I was. I'm like, where are you at? How come? But yeah, I mean, go ahead. Well, and the other thing is all of those companies, being named specifically what it's named. I can see how it could cause some confusion with that.
Sure. Because I stumbled onto a page and there was one for every single state. I'm like, oh, that's weird, right? That's weird. But so all of you who are trolling on me for me calling myself an anon, this is the one and only dig I've ever really done. And I came across this golden nugget. I'm not an anon. It was just to be funny. But I got some mileage out of it. And I got some people coming at me for it. I'm like, oh, just chill. I'm not an actual anon. I'm just having fun. Okay.
She did pretty good too, by the way. That was pretty good.
Was that fun? All right, I'm going to click the button again, and we're going to click into this document, this domestic profit. Put this over to the training.
And the show is live, right? Let's see.
Yes, this one is live. Okay, so here is this document from 1925. The Articles of Incorporation, 7/15/25, and here it is. It's all signed, and it's corporation company. It's so weird, right? Going down. I mean, you guys, we just had a microfilm.
Well, here's the thing too, is that since it is out of Florida, in my article I put, there's a section in there that has the relationship between state and corporate entities, and it's state related, right? I mean, so the corporations are following tax laws and so on underneath that state. So to have a company to have the U.S. government incorporated under the state of Florida is kind of that's kind of hard for me to grasp. But anyways, I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, and all of this progression here, and this just in some of this wording in here, it really tells what it is. If you read this document here, y'all can go and find this as well. I'm going to go low on there so you can read the words, but basically it describes the entire process of what's happening. So what I finally figured out in this process, because then I'm like, why Florida? And then when I went and I found that every state had one of these, a light bulb went off in my head. You know how you have in your state water? You have water, you have Department of Transportation, you have sewage, you have all these different the restrict or to manage all the things that take work fluidly and for the accountability for government. If you've got your the people that work in government inside of your state, there has to be, they're getting paid. Or how are they getting paid?
Right.
They're getting paid from business. So how is that accounted for?
Right.
Well, what they have to do in order to make money flow back and forth between, where you're getting your paycheck for working at the beauty or whatever for, you're getting paid. A corporation setup. It has nothing to do with like Lucify, or Walmart, or a corporation that is built for a private. They're two very different things. Just a what's the word I'm looking for? It's an element that's created for accountability.
Right. So it's also so if the federal government is going to give a local government grant funding, they have to have a DUNS number and an EIN so that the federal government can track it. That was the big one for me. I'm like, oh, okay, so well, that's a big deal. I mean, I've had my company, I've S corporated. I've also done an incorporated where I've had to have board members, things of that nature, and I had to get a DUNS number too. So I couldn't find a a reasoning to where, okay, if this company has a DUNS number, that means they're incorporated. Well, that's not always the case. So yeah, it is. It's a fact sheet that kind of gives information about the company's performance, how much money it's made. I mean, I'm not even doing it justice, but there's a lot of information on that DUNS report that just talks about the company's performance and what it's done, how long it's been open, um, and so on. And like I said, there's a whole bunch more information you can get on it, but it's not an indicator of a corporation. Is my point. So you're breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry, Mel. You're breaking. There you go. Now, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Okay. So yeah. Go ahead. Got you. Yeah. Perfectly. Perfectly. Yeah. I can't hear it. I can't hear it on stage. No, I cannot. I cannot hear it. Okay, you are. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, you did. Yep. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Well, I mean, not really. That's pretty much in a nutshell. Um, it's a 9-digit number that identifies businesses. It's somewhat of a credit file. Well, not somewhat, but it's kind of like a credit file for that specific business. And it's got like the business identification, ownership and structure, financial information, credit assessment, payment history, legal events, um, trying to comparative analysis, things like that. So I don't think the Rumble channel's running right now. Can you, yeah, I think you know, I can't see it, and there's a couple saying that yeah, it's not playing. Yep, I'm. Yep, let's see here. Yeah, yeah, we may have to. Oh, come on, now my computer's not doing slow. Come on. Yeah, now my computer isn't. So sorry. Hang on. So when I click on the link that you sent. Oh, there we go. There we go. Let me see on the computer. Computer. It's not running. No, no. Okay, no problem. No problem. Yeah. So, anyways, while she does that, the corporations that she's explaining all fell under the state that that corporation was filed in, and there are specific laws that are involved with that. And I don't think it's. I mean, it's definitely not the United States government being, you know, incorporated underneath Delaware or Florida, for example. So, um, but I mean, everything else, though, guys, like the banking systems, the corporations themselves within our country, all that is, absolutely, taking advantage of the people, and they have been for, at least a century. So, you got it. You got her.